Donald Trump's attack on speech is not just an effort to quell and stop dissent outside of his administration, it's also happening from within. Donald Trump is sharing fewer and fewer data points about his struggling economy. His stooges don't appear on any other network but Fox, and he himself is not engaging with the media as much. Why? Because Donald Trump doesn't want us knowing what's happening in his White House, because it's criminal, it's corrupt, or it's crumbling our economy, which is why Donald Trump just had to make a shock cancellation in an effort to hide. And we are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what Donald Trump just had to abruptly cancel, I want to start with the speech that he is trying to cancel outside of his administration, which was called out by Senator Chris Murphy right here.
Bondi, the president mentioned some of his enemies, including James Comey, the former FBI director, Letitia James. It sounds like he is directly ordering his attorney general to prosecute his enemies.
This is one of the most dangerous moments America has ever faced. We are quickly turning into a banana republic. The president of the United States is now employing the full power of the federal government, the FCC, the Department of Justice, in order to punish, lock up, take down off the air all of his political enemies. As you know, this is what happens in Iran. This is what happens in Cuba. This is what happens in China, in deeply repressive states in which if you have the courage to stand up and speak truth to power, you are silenced. I mean, there is no more fundamental right in America than the right to protest your government. And the question today is, when is enough for Republicans? I was very glad to see Ted Cruz stand up and say what is simply true. It is unconstitutional and deeply immoral for the president to jail or to silence his political enemies, and it will come back and boomerang on conservatives and Republicans at some point if this becomes the norm. But next week, we need every Republican in the Senate, in the House, not only speaking up, but going to Donald Trump and telling him that they are not going to let him get away with this massive new contraction of speech. This is a decisive moment for the country. It is a decisive moment for Republicans who have to decide to preserve this core fundamental American value, the freedom of speech.
We have to keep in mind that this is a multi-pronged approach by Donald Trump. We first saw it start with him quite literally boxing out an entire media outlet in the AP if they did not agree to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. It was idiotic, and that was kind of the point, to make it seem silly, stupid, and not as sinister as it was. Now Donald Trump is going directly to media outlets and pressuring them into canceling hosts. Will it be Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel? Donald Trump is applying direct pressure. Now the next step is for these media outlets to operate by themselves, afraid of Trump and trying to move in advance of any pressure from the White House. The real intimidation is when they succumb to your pressure without you even having to put it on them. That's what Donald Trump is doing, and it's why so many outlets are terrified of covering him or speaking out, even though he sees it completely differently. Still, that everyone, in his words, is mean all the time.
A little while ago, you may have seen it, I talked to people about 97% of the things they say about me on television are negative. And, you know, how do you win if that's the case? And the credibility of television's way down, most television. You guys are doing a lot better. I disagree with your pollsters because I've always proven to be right on that. I would say your pollsters, I don't think your pollsters are any good on Fox, but generally speaking, and the anchors are, in every case, they're phenomenal. But you don't have that with other networks. I think that's why they're down. They're down so low in ratings.
All right, so Donald Trump is being a whiny little fucking baby about the fact that everyone hates him. What's new about that? Well, it's not just that Donald Trump is complaining about outside coverage. That's expected. It's what he is upset with inside his own administration. It's why we saw the BLS commissioner lose their job, because Donald Trump was unhappy about facts pertaining to his terrible economy. But the latest measure that Donald Trump has taken, maybe the most shock cancellation is the word we must use yet, not only runs counter to the idea that he cares about free speech, but the main component of his campaign, affordability. And we see it in this report right here. Trump administration cancels annual hunger survey. The government has been measuring food insecurity since the mid-1990s, but now says the report has become overly politicized. The Trump administration is ending a decades-long effort to track food security at a time when many Americans are struggling to get proper nutrition or eat enough. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said Saturday it was terminating the annual household food security reports, which were introduced in the 1990s to help state and federal officials decide on food assistance programs. The latest USDA report, published in September last year, found some 18 million U.S. households were food insecure at some time during 2023, a million more than in 2022. These redundant, costly, politicized, and extraneous studies do nothing more than fearmonger, the Department of Agriculture said in a statement. The decision to cancel the reports was first reported by the Wall Street Journal and comes as the department was set to release its 2024 survey data. The Trump administration has previously cracked down on other government departments over data it considers to be politically motivated. The former commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics was ousted after revised data showed lower job growth numbers in May and June. Donald Trump criticized her as a Biden appointee overseeing what he falsely called fake jobs numbers. Okay, let's unpack some of the language that was just used because it is astonishing. They think, this administration, that talking about children going hungry is overtly political. Do you know who that is overtly political to? People who don't care about children starving, which clearly this administration doesn't. Mind you, the great patron saint who we're honoring today, Charlie Kirk, said that food insecurity for children doesn't exist in America, although millions of kids go hungry every day. By the way, the number one indicator of a child's performance in school isn't some bigoted argument that Charlie Kirk would probably come up with. He'd probably say race, that disgusting fuck. Sorry, but it's true. The real number one indicator of whether or not a child is going to be successful in school is if they had breakfast that day, if they got to have lunch, if they weren't starving through school. What do Republicans say? You're 11 years old? Get a job. Half the time you should be working, half the time you should be learning. That is what they think. That is what these people believe. They think Democrats saying, I don't know, maybe we should feed our damn kids is political. We can't have conversations with these people. They are so separated from reality. They lack humanity in a way that is just so disgusting, and they're throwing it in our faces. It is a waste of money to see how many children are starving, and how we can combat that, how we can combat food insecurity is a waste of money. And why is this? It is because Donald Trump's administration began with a conversation about the price of eggs that Trump couldn't stop talking about on the campaign trail, and now he doesn't care. When was the last time we talked about affordability in this administration? When? I can't remember, because Donald Trump doesn't care. He fundamentally doesn't. Which is why, and this is going to feel like a pivot, but I have a story to tell you, so please stick around. But this is why this clip from Joe Manchin, I know, feels like it's out of left field. You're going to want to stick around. Is so important to me.
It can't be if you're playing the blame game. And I'm asking the Democratic Party, you better start looking at how you lost people like me. I've been a Democrat all my life. I'm fiscally responsible and socially compassionate, Brett, and I come from West Virginia. And now I can't even identify with the far left ideology. So
how on God's green earth is Joe Manchin lecturing us? I went to school in New York, for those of you who have been following the show for a while, and I would come back and forth from D.C. a lot because I was doing interviews on the Hill, meetings, whatever it may be. And one week, I had the opportunity, after Senator Booker's filibuster, to come down and interview him. It wrapped up really late at night. It was like 11:30. I finally got it done. My videographer and good friend Caleb, who was always there with me, we put it together. You know, it got it edited, done. It was like 2:30 in the morning. But I had an exam the next day. In my primates class, I had an exam, so I wasn't really looking forward to that. So I had to get back to New York by 9 o'clock. So I go to bed at 2. It's like 3 hours on the Amtrak. And so as you can imagine, I didn't get a ton of sleep that night. Got about like 2.5 hours because I didn't want to miss my train, didn't want to be late, Had to get back on campus by 9, so it's going to take me a bit of time. I promise this is going somewhere. I'm like in and out of this haze, and I wake up to like this, what is that sound? Is like, I was listening to Pod Save America. I was like, are they playing an old Joe Manchin clip? And it's not. It was Joe Manchin sitting next to me, seat right over. Not like shoulder to shoulder, but seat right over. There was Joe Manchin. And I was like, what is Joe Manchin doing? He was going up to New York City, which is a blast. I love New York. It's the greatest city in the world. But I was thinking, Joe Manchin, isn't this Mr. Rough and Tumble, love America, I'm Joe Manchin, the Democrats have lost touch with the working people? Isn't that Joe Manchin? No. Joe Manchin is the guy who was bought out, also because of his own business interests, by coal industry, big energy, and Wall Street. Joe Manchin, on the topic of children going hungry, by refusing to extend the $300 a month child tax credit, Joe Manchin, who says that Democrats have given up on working people, caused the child poverty rate in America to go from 5.2% to 12.4%. This is a man owned by Wall Street and says Democrats have lost people like him. Well, do you know what, Joe? Fuck off. Fuck off. Because kids are hungry because of you. And you didn't seem to care. You are from the poorest state in America, but you are too busy focused on Wall Street to have ever cared about that. And so when I woke up, or was like in and out of consciousness the whole time it felt, I looked over at Joe Manchin, and I had no life left in me to say something because I was exhausted. I was also studying for my primates exam. And I just gave him the nastiest look, just a disgusted, head shaken, I am pissed at you. I probably should have said something. Excuse me, I was exhausted. I think you can empathize. But I wanted to say, as I just did, fuck you, Joe Manchin. Kids are hungry because of you. Kids Donald Trump will never care about. Kids Donald Trump will cancel a food insecurity report about to avoid the scrutiny of his failure. Because he would rather kids go hungry than confront the fact that he's a big idiot who doesn't understand the economy and also doesn't care about them. That is MAGA. That is what we are up against. That is my long-winded tale. And that is why I just feel more energized than ever to fight back against these sons of bitches, to call them out. I promise we're going to be doing so on this show. And if you want to support that, and my next opportunity when I see Joe Manchin to yell at him, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support my work, one of the best ways to do so is becoming a paid or free subscriber to my Substack. That is linked here and below. Keep fighting. Do not let them silence you, even if you're tired on a train. And until next time, I'll see you soon.